The rain had just begun to fall when Emily stepped into the small neighborhood grocery store, her umbrella dripping and her cheeks flushed from the cold. A young nurse, only 24, she had just completed a punishing 12-hour shift at the hospital. Her eyes were heavy, her body ached, and yet, she walked with purpose, because for Emily, every day was another chance to help someone. Emily wasn't just any nurse, she was known on her floor as the heart with hands. She never left a patient's side without making them smile. Raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs just to keep the lights on, Emily had grown up understanding struggle, but never letting it turn her cold. She believed the world still had goodness, even when it was hidden behind weary faces and closed hearts. The grocery store was quiet, save for the soft hum of fluorescent lights and the faint sound of rain tapping on the windows. Emily was grabbing a loaf of bread and some instant noodles when she noticed an old man at the checkout counter. His coat was too thin for the weather, his shoes cracked with wear. He fumbled through a coin purse, counting out each cent like it was his last. "Sir, you're still short by $6.78, the cashier said gently, casting a quick glance toward the growing line. The old man's shoulders slumped, and his voice was barely a whisper. "Maybe take the milk and the eggs off. I can come back for them later." Emily didn't hesitate. With the same calm that helped her guide patients through fear and pain, she stepped forward and placed a $10 bill on the counter. "I've got it," she said simply. The man looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. "I can't let you do that," he murmured. "Yes, you can," she replied with a small smile. "Because you matter. And we all need a little help sometimes." Her words weren't grand, but they landed like a warm blanket on a winter night. He accepted, reluctantly, and as he turned to leave, he looked back once, like he wanted to say something more, but then he was gone, swallowed by the gray mist outside. Emily didn't think twice about the gesture. To her, kindness wasn't an event, it was a lifestyle. She paid for her own groceries and walked home, drenched but peaceful. She had no idea that this simple act would change the course of her life in ways she could never have imagined. 3 hours later, she was curled up on her couch with a worn-out blanket, sipping cheap tea and trying to forget the day's exhaustion. That's when she heard the low rumble of engines. Not 1. Not 2. But 3. She peeked out the window and blinked in disbelief. 3 black SUVs had pulled up outside her modest apartment building. A firm knock echoed through the hallway. Her heart began to race. She wasn't used to uninvited visitors, especially not the kind who arrived in tinted vehicles that looked like they belonged in a political thriller. She opened the door just a crack. "Miss Emily Thompson?" asked the tall man in a sharp suit, his voice calm but authoritative. She nodded slowly. "Yes. We were sent by Mr. Jonathan Reynolds. He would like a moment of your time." Jonathan Reynolds. The name meant nothing to her. She hesitated. "I think you have the wrong person." "No, Mississippi." He was quite clear. "It's about the grocery store earlier today." Something in his tone, respectful, but firm, made her trust him. Against every instinct she thought she had, she followed him to the SUV. The interior smelled of leather and luxury. And there, seated with the quiet dignity of someone who had seen and survived much, was the old man from earlier. He was unrecognizable in a tailored charcoal suit, his silver hair neatly combed. But it was the eyes, those same tired but kind eyes, that told her it was him. He smiled softly. "Emily," he said, as if they were old friends. "I owe you a story." He introduced himself properly. Jonathan Reynolds, founder and CEO of Reynolds Industries, a global tech conglomerate. Worth billions. Known for his reclusive nature. Loved by few, feared by many. And yet, here he was, speaking to a young nurse like she was the most important person in the world. "I wasn't always wealthy," he began. "I was raised in foster care. Slept in shelters. When I got my first job, I was hungry more days than I wasn't. Today, I wanted to see something, to feel something real. So I dressed down and walked into that store with a few coins. Not as a test, but because I wanted to know if people like you still existed. His voice broke slightly. And you reminded me of what matters. Not money. Not power. But kindness. Emily sat in stunned silence. I've built skyscrapers. Employed thousands. But I never created something that could heal the soul. Until today. I want you to help me build that. He offered her a job, no, a mission. To lead the Reynolds Foundation, a newly established humanitarian arm of his empire focused on healthcare, food insecurity, and shelter. Full creative control. Resources she'd never dreamed of. And a salary that would wipe out not only her debt, but her mother's too. That night, Emily cried, not from fear or sadness, but from the sheer magnitude of grace. Weeks passed. Her life changed faster than she could keep up with. She traded scrubs for suits, but never lost her heart. Her first project, setting up mobile clinics in underserved areas. Her second, creating programs for single parents to get access to affordable childcare. Each day, she woke up grateful. Each night, she slept with a purpose. People called her an angel. The media loved the grocery girl turned CEO. But Emily never forgot that she wasn't special. She was simply someone who chose kindness, even when no one was watching. 1 year later, at a gala hosted by the Reynolds Foundation, Jonathan stood beside her and told the crowd, "She didn't just change my life. She reminded me how to live it." And Emily, with tears in her eyes, took the mic and said, "If you ever wonder whether a small act can make a big difference, remember this story. And be someone's reason to believe again." The crowd rose in applause, but Emily only saw her mother in the front row, clapping with pride, tears on her cheeks. Because sometimes, the richest people in the world aren't the ones with money, but the ones who choose to give, when they have every reason not to. And all it takes, is a moment. A $10 bill. And a heart brave enough to care.